It was supposed to be a trilogy.
Playing Sonic isn't technically normal. Why are people hating on this game so much if other games have tried the same thing in terms of experiments? Occasionally stopping through thick sand, slowing us down critically.
One man, one blue hedgehog, one lost world.
Although the music is a great starting world level. Frozen Factory Act 1 begins with a new refreshing start.
He began the journey. He exposed the chaos. But then, he disappeared. For years, silence. No closure. No finale. Just emptiness. But now, the prophecy is fulfilled. The series returns. The saga continues. Let's finish what we started.
See you all in part 3 or something else. Probably part 3.
But since I'm not the same man I was before, I had a few striking differences in speech.
I fallen in love with him and the series.
It's been 529 long days since I released the long-awaited second part of the saga. It made me yearn for some change. I left dormant, making sure it was forgotten. I moved on, but I always had this sensation of guilt. I cut it short before it could thrive. But who cares? It's a pile of dog shit anyway, I thought. Sitting alone, I was conflicted on what to do. Either continue the already dead game, or let it still be a thing of the past. Setting is nothing more than a test of what eventually would become WmCheese. It's where I came from though. WmCheese wouldn't be anything if I didn't make that Sonic tier list. I've lost so much from this wretched past in content creation. I thought I could leave without anything, or no drawbacks. But I guess it's stronger than that. And the only way to fix this problem is to take it on head on. As you may realise, I'm not a young little boy anymore. I'm matured and I have a different view on this game now. That's why I'm going to go back and give my entire extended opinion on this game. Talking about every single little level. While I talk about these levels, I'll talk about the story, followed by the gameplay of the game overall, and then a final verdict. So subscribe, because I know you all want this. After some context on how we got here, it seems that Dr. Eggman has stolen animals in that wretched pot again, while Sonic and Tails were hot on his tail. You get it, because his name's Tail? No. But Eggman drops the critters to bait Sonic into letting his guard down, and this seems to work hook, line and sinker, as Eggman is able to get them to stop paying attention to him as he loads up a gun to damage their plane. It's a critical hit and they start going crash landing into the ocean. But just then they stumble across a planet-like area simply just called the Lost Hex. It inhabits the creatures called the Zeti, though we'll learn about them more later on. Sonic and Tails land on it and decide to split up. Sonic is out searching for the capsules while Tails stays to fix the plane damage. And that's all the context that's given. Less than ideal in my opinion, but moving on. We start off in Windy Hill Zone 1, where you have your typical Green Hill copy. Every Sonic game either has this or Green Hill itself. We are able to traverse the grounds normally, except for one staple thing. It doesn't take a genius to know that Sonic isn't able to run in this game. Now, I addressed this issue in my original part 1, and I personally justified it by saying it was a fresh experimental idea that was cool and interesting. Do I agree with this take still? Fuck no! You expect me to open up a Sonic the Hedgehog game just for them to add a fuck-ass feature that you can't run with Sonic progressively? Do you seriously expect me to believe that they added this feature with the intent to make the games better? This feature is nothing short of a horrible idea. They spent all this time of a franchise building up that Sonic is supposed to be fast, but this game just isn't that. It's a whole different type of game to the rest of the franchise, an oddball in the group. But let's not spend the whole segment talking about running. Let's talk about the actual level. It eases you into the game with fairly easy level design to begin with. Just the run button, the use of red coins, the parkouring, and the planet-like terrain you're able to walk on throughout the levels. Then we see that the wisps from Sonic Colors make a reappearance, which didn't really seem that necessary, but nonetheless, the more the merrier. And let's just say the planet-like structure isn't exactly too bad of an idea. I see it as pretty cool in concept, and especially execution, but this would be all fine and dandy if people fail to mention that this is literally just a blatant Mario Galaxy mechanic copied into this game. I mean, hello? Planet and planet-like gravity, it works almost the same and no one bats an eye. They still think we're all too stupid to realize the gravity of this situation. Not me, however. I'm here to shine the real light on this game and what it has to offer. Now moving on to when you beat the level, we get shot into a cutscene where Sonic explains to Amy and Knuckles that he's really garbage the only thing that he's actually good at doing, which is saving animals from capsules. Because allegedly out of all the capsules Eggman planted, Sonic so far has only managed to save one. Knuckles protests that he could have done a way better and faster job, but unfortunately the game doesn't let us see this truthful statement to take shape, so Sonic says he has everything under control and goes to save more. We enter the next act to see what Eggman is up to now. He's with the previously mentioned Zeddy group, and Eggman is showing off his process of turning bunnies to badniks, forming an army to destroy Sonic. But you may ask the question, why does Zeddy just randomly decide to help Eggman? Well, we can slightly get some hint of this in the line of dialogue where Eggman says, and I quote, "I conquered you, didn't I?" As if Eggman is something that makes them agree with him, or they die or something, like blackmail. I'm sure we will learn more about it later on. So the supposed leader of the Zeddies, Zavik, goes to his goons and informs that one of them will have to get their hands dirty, and this purple lanky fucker walks up, and as this happens we get a slight silhouette of the rest of them. But for convenience, I'll just list them all now. As said, we have Zavik, Zaz, Master Zik, Zor, Xena, and last and definitely least, Zomam. God, I hate this fat tub of lard. Those who have seen the original videos would know. But moving on, Zaz steps up for the challenge and is ready to fight Sonic. We are then thrown into a 2D noon setting of Windy Hill, where we have a reprise of the original Windy Hill Zone music. And I gotta say, it's pretty catchy. But as you go along, you start to hear faint laughing and taunting from Zaz towards you. You begin to see... wait. Is that Pac-Man? Anyway, you see him on his giant Pac-Man and the fight begins. He comes down to your level and you're able to jump into him 3 times and he's already dismounted. He'll charge up for a charge attack, but your homing attack will come in clutch here, so you can just wait for the homing to lock on and hit him, and you rinse and repeat until he finally falls. It's pretty simple. You don't need to be that smart to be able to do this one. I was kind of expecting more, but I mean, it's a verse boss. I'm sure they get harder as the worlds go on, right? Act 3 levels are different throughout the entire game, changing up the world scenery completely. It's nice that they added this, and it shakes up every world. For this world, the scenery is instead the caves below Windy Hill, which is fun, I guess. It's good, and hey, the music is quite nice. It fits the aesthetic well, and there's some new enemies down here. They're bats, and they mostly show up in the tunnel segments. And speaking of that, there's 2 parts of the cave levels. They have these more open-aired sections and more linear and hamster rolling-like sections, where you can run on the roof while spin dashing, as if you're in a pinball. We also get to use a wisp in this level. I don't know the names, so I'm just going to call this one Zip Zap. It puts you stationary to shoot in a direction, and if you happen to hit a diamond place for the wisp, you'll gain more speed, making it so you have to shoot in certain directions to chain enough to get past gaps. It's simple but flashy, and to be honest, I'm not that big of a fan. It's painful how slow it is. You grab the power, press the button, aim and fire, and wait for it to finally let you out. And this level just gives you a good representation on how to use the wall run. And let me just have the pleasure of saying, this is truly one of the worst ways to adapt a wall run mechanic. It feels like it only works when it wants to. When you need to go around a corner, it's actually a painful sight watching someone learn to do it. Because from personal experience, it took me, and I'm not joking here, 23 attempts when I finally just simply learnt this. And I still don't know how to do it. I was just pressing the jump button. Explain to me how pressing the jump button makes you switch onto a different wall on the same side. This mechanic is glitchy and broken and all around a real mood killer for the already painfully mid-level. But we're just getting started with these kinds of levels. Now, this is all pretty bloody annoying to play and write about, and by now, I'm sure you're sick of my voice, so for me to express this feeling for this game in a wider spectrum, I've invited a bunch of friends to express it with me too. I've invited old friends such as Deza, Dry Drew, EnterName, and WmCheese, and newer friends such as Tarnix and Tobingle. One of them will each be randomly selected for the Act 4 of their respective world. And first up is EnterName. He hasn't appeared all that much in my videos, but now you get to see him. Take it away.
Thank you, WmCheese. Sonic Lost World seems a lot different from what people are most used to in terms of a Sonic game. It wasn't very well received at launch, and still isn't to this very day. So now that I've been personally asked to observe over part of this game, I can finally see it for what it is. The beginning of Act 4 starts with Sonic coming across Eggman while searching in a windy hill, and we finally get introduced to the Deadly Six, as they call themselves. Real original, guys. But as we see that the same guy Zaz is ready for a round 2, and after some playful banter, he finally leaves and we take chase. The level begins calmly with just a normal run section like Act 1. Then we suddenly switch to a more Act 2-like 2D side-scroller, which is pretty faithful to the original Sonic game, which I like. You then go upside down as you start to hear taunts from Zaz, and you keep going, eventually arriving at Zaz. He then begins to run like the wind, while you follow him from behind, as he throws the occasional curveball to make you wall jump every once in a while. You then get lost in a bush and suddenly start getting chased for about 3 seconds, before the fight actually starts. Why they wasted time on the chase scene? Beats me. But I assume it's to extend the playtime of the level. But 20 seconds really worth it. The fight then begins with him throwing his Pac-Man animatronic, which begins to bounce and make itself unpredictable. And yet if you have more than 6 combined brain cells, you can figure out that you need to jump when it's low and run when it's high. It's pretty easy and you're able to hit him easily. He then resets and throws the ball just to roll so obviously that you can jump and hit him again. He then repeats his first attack and you can kill him effortlessly. The fight was quite underwhelming and was on point with the difficulty of Act 2, maybe even easier. But I just don't understand why. We're better than we were when we fought the Act 2 boss, so you'd think it would become progressively harder, but no. It's just the same difficulty, and it really annoys me because of how boring, easy, and uneventful it is. You can just jump or speed up, homing tech, and then rinse and repeat. This is a huge step in the wrong direction if this game really wants to live up to the name Sheen gave it, which is the gem of the franchise. And they really need to step up the difficulty because it is a baby game so far. But anyways, back to you, Sheen.
Now that we've finished World 1, I'm going to start rating all these worlds out of 10 and once they're finished, to see which one was the best. And to start off the ranking, Windy Hill Zone gets a cool and easy 7.8 out of 10. To be honest, this world didn't have too much to complain about other than Act 3 just sucking, and the bosses being underwhelming as hell. But yeah, not too bad. I'd say a solid beginning world. We end off Act 4 of Windy Hill with a cutscene between Sonic and Tails, where Tails managed to fix the plane up so we're able to travel around more easily in the Lost Hex. But he just has to flex on us with his ivory belt what it feels like to get head with just a window, so fixing the plane is about easy as a nap. And now we move on to Act 1. It begins with Eggman complaining about the animals the Deadly Six bring to turn into baddies, and it's finally revealed to us why Eggman is able to control them. It's thanks to this special shell that seems to make a frequency that they're irritated by. Like the symbiote from Spider-Man, you know. But anyways, we begin this level with a fresh coat of paint. We're now in the desert encountering new enemies. They're like purple snakes that lunge out if you get too close, but just use the homing attack, you can conquer them easily. After a small intermission, the actual level begins in a sand temple of some sorts. We are vertically going up, outrunning this giant sandworm invading the place. And of course, the parkour feels awful in here too. Not as bad as Windy Hill Act 3, but it's getting there. You're able to exit out into another area resembling the first section of the level. You can keep seeing more and more sandworms terrorize the area. You end up back in the temple, evading danger, and always just kind of keep switching between these two sections, as it gets more chaotic until it ends with big cacti balls running in a huge circle to stop you. You can just spin dash right past, and you've beaten Act 1. Act 2 begins with Eggman fat shaming Zoro, the fattest creature ever known. He gets bribed by a sandwich because of course his fat tubby ass did. And he's next on our hit list because he's on our trail as we speak. He even fucking broke the ground, and Eggman knows how much of a mistake this fatso was being part of the team, as he groans outside the door. Act 2 throws a curveball of a curveball, because normally Act 3 is the curveball with the different scenery, but this time we have it in Act 2. We're now thrown into this octagon-shaped auto-runner, quite reminiscent of honeycombs. But maybe I'm just fat and think that. Anyway, the whole level plays like this, and occasionally takes breaks to skydive to the next area. You can also homing attack lines of enemies inside these tunnel segments. It's pretty boring and plain, to be honest. But eventually, we land on this face made of blocks, and when you know, our fat light-owned foe is here expecting us. His attacks include smashing down the platform so hard that it ends up being like 10 feet below you now, making you have to dodge spike balls in the air as you skydive back down to it. Then he's able to flip the side of the platform effortlessly, and finally when he lands again, he's able to be attacked, and obviously you just homing attack him, because Sonic has dementia and doesn't know that you can do other things than homing attack people. And again, it's rinse and repeat. He makes you skydive, you dodge the extra added spike ball he has after every phase, then he flips it and you hit him. All over again until you beat him, and you've cleared the act. Hooray, right? Fuck no. Are you genuinely going to tell me that not only does the boss fight stay the same difficulty, but the enemy isn't even able to attack you? His second attack does jack shit, and his first is fucking easy to dodge. When I'm editing this video, just know you have to put Carnival Night Zone as the music for this specific section, or I'll never forgive myself, because it's genuinely a clown of a level. The boss not only didn't get harder, it got worse as a boss fight, and the rest of the level is an auto runner. This isn't Sonic Dash on mobile. I spent hard-earned cash on this game, and the whole level is just an auto runner? What a joke. I remember glazing the ever-living shit out of this level in my original video. But nope, I obviously wasn't developed with a brain back then. It doesn't even feel rewarding to beat this level, you just feel disappointed. Some ask why I hate Zone Mom so much, but this is it. He's so fat and ugly, and both his boss fights suck. Spoiler alert. I absolutely hate this monstrosity, and I'm glad I could share this. Anyway, we end off Act 2 with a cutscene showing Eggman siphoning the world's energy to power his machines, I presume. And we get a slight hint from the Zeddy that they might turn on Eggman. This reveals a bunch, but not a whole lot, so I'm excited to see what goes on next. Okay, so another curveball. Instead of one weird act, we get two. This time they misspelled desert to be dessert, and poof, that just suddenly makes the whole world into a dessert. They aren't very appetizing though, they look very hyper-processed. They should really have made the colours a bit more dull maybe. I'd rate this level a bit higher if that was the case. But that doesn't matter. Let's get to the real juice, the actual level. It's all in 2D as you play, which isn't the best of starts, but we're introduced to a new way of platforming and ramping up the difficulty a little bit. There's these cannons that shoot waffle balls, and you have to platform using the bounce you get from hitting them in a jump. I especially like the ending part, where you have to chain about 4 of these cannon sets worth of jumps to reach the goal. But other than that, what can I really say? It's a creative way they chose to make the level. The platforms and obstacles are all creative, like using licorice for loop-de-loops was pretty genius. But why not donuts? They literally already have a hole in them. I can't really say much about this level, to be honest. The level lasts no more than a minute and a half, so that's a minus. I wasn't even a huge fan of this one. Even though it's food and I love food, I just can't see it being appealing to me all that greatly. I think it's a rushed level. No use of 3D except the mini cutscenes was pretty dumb, and maybe they didn't have ideas for 3D lands. We may never know. Now that we've reached another Act 4, we get to call upon another guest star to talk about it. And random pick one here, we have chosen Tarnix. You may have seen him in like my past few videos. He's been on a roll just appearing in them, and the streak hasn't ended, so over to you, bro.
Cheers, Mr. Wet. If you don't know me, my name is Mom.
Shut your fucking mouth!
Now, Sonic Lost World sure is a special case when it comes to this franchise. I can really see both sides of the fanbase on this one. Anyways, let's move on to Act 4. Starts with Sonic coming across his own mom, eating an even bigger sub sandwich than last time I saw him. The fat ass doesn't even look like he wants to be there. He literally leaves us up mustard. And Sonic of course gives chase. And we are thrown into another side scroller or a random tornado that wasn't here before. But who cares, right? It's Sonic Lost World. It doesn't have to make sense. But after a bit of this side scroller, we get to use a whole new wrist power, which we're obviously calling the Digatron, because that's epic. You have to follow via underground. It even makes you parkour using this Digatron. When you fall out of dirt to other pockets of dirt, to further get past. And then just as you think we are getting somewhere, we are back to another side-scroller with the tornado. We can see as the cracks forming. The tornado is slow, but if you get slightly faster than average, it just randomly speeds up. So it's basically like speeding. You've got to drive on the limit. And after crossing through fucking Narnia, you are jump scared as Zone Mall appears with a whole chicken that he just fucking inserts in his mouth in seconds. The fat ass begins the fight acting similar to that yellow Pac-Man from Zaz in Windy Hill, bouncing up and down, but since he's the obstacle, you can just wait to homie attack him, and even charges mid-air. It's a joke really, then something actually interesting happens. He flees the scene, and you are able to give chase using Digitron Wisp, and again use pucks of dirt to traverse, and eventually end up as him being behind the tornadoes, and he forms a barrier on the side so he can retreat, and then becomes Boom Boom from Mario 3D World with that spinning attack he uses. The trick here is to wall climb when he gets close so you can barely evade him, and when he's done with his fit, you can just homie attack him. And this time his master plan is just to make the arena slightly smaller, so you can just do it again when he's defeated. Awesome, right? No! What am I genuinely playing right now? We get a pretty rushed context cutscene to how we found him, and then it's a side-scroller. It's a reused fight. Then we chase him and he just steals from Mario, even making it so he can only attack when he gets tired. Maybe this is why it came out on the Wii U and 3DS. They own Nintendo for all their ideas. But the only decent part of this level was the Digitron part, and it lasts like 10 seconds between the two areas you use it. But I can guarantee we never use this mechanic again in the rest of the game. So what's even the point? I spent all this time leading up to two boring and awful bosses. They so far have only been getting worse. And can we talk about how Act 4 levels have just been devolved if you've looked at Act 4 of Windy Hill? There's a mix of the three past acts, but this one is just a 2D side-scroller. I guess you never know how good you have it until it's gone. Sheen's old opinion on this level that it was decent, but no human on Earth will agree with that. Not even Sheen himself. This was an awful level. Back to you, Sheen!
Cheers, Tarnix. Anyway, throughout the entirety of Desert Hills, I didn't experience something called fun, which, seems to be a pretty important factor of the experience. I was really just on autopilot throughout this one, so I'll rate this world a 1 out of 10. I'm not being harsh. You can play the levels and come back and surely you'll at least say it's mid, because the Digitron part was the only 1 point I scored it. We end off Desert Hills with a cutscene where our A plot and B plot have intertwined, as Sonic hits the shell Eggman had out of his hand, making it so he can't control the Zeddy, and they begin to control Eggman's army. All hell breaks loose with them raining down bullets on Sonic, Tails and Eggman. But once Tails is hurt, Sonic flees the scene, and Eggman trailing behind. Now the Zeddy seem to have become the main villains of the game, and Eggman has become rogue. What a coincidence. Holy god, I wasn't expecting them to go rogue. Oh my god, holy guac, this is a great game. Yeah, no, it's kind of obvious that they're going to do it, but it's really just a matter of when they would have done it. But I will say, the scene is pretty solid. It shows that the Zeddy are powerful foes and how much power they actually hold, while setting up Sonic and Eggman being against the same thing. The raining bullet scene especially caught my attention, showing really how chaotic they are. But enough glaze, let's get on to Tropical Coast Act 1. For some reason, this one just feels more fresh. The level's more of a 3D open plane. It's really wide and there's many things to do, letting you carve your own path throughout the level, such as climbing the walls onto higher ground. And it's reminiscent of old Sonic games where you can take the higher paths to be faster or stuck at the bottom being slow. It adds a layer of exploration onto this level, properly using the parkour mechanics to traverse the level. This is how you're supposed to do it. Don't make it too complicated or mandatory to do, but still reward players who use that extra exploration abilities. and remembering they can wall jump and wall kick. It's fun for both people. Also, throughout the player's exploration, throughout the level, there's no 2D bullshit sections. It's a real level. The whole thing is you just exploring massive planets, and when you need to go to the next one, you have to free these butterflies in a cage, and they'll bloom a flower to launch you over. They keep it simple, but something for you to actually do. I so far really like this level. It's really reminiscent of Windy Hill 1, but it's done so much better. I can use my knowledge of the game to get to better areas, but they didn't give it to you on a silver platter. There's no point in this level where it tries to tell you to run on the walls. You just run on them if you see them, and if you remember that, you can do that. For those people that understand the mechanics of the game, it really rewards them, and I like that. The whole level just feels complete. They didn't add any filler to these sections to bore you. It's just a genuine level of Sonic Lost World, and this is easily the best level in the game yet. It's just all round fun to play on, like the other levels. Yeah, I'll just note it. This is my favourite level so far. Beating Act 1 ends with a cutscene where Sonic, Eggman and Tails talk about what has just happened. Eggman explains what the shell actually did was, I was right, it plays a frequency that's very painful to the Zeddy. They're apparently very rare and scarce, so losing that practically means that we'll never get another one. Eggman also explains how they're able to control his army. They're able to manipulate magnetic fields as one of their abilities, and make the Roblox do what they want instead of what Eggman wants. Sonic and Eggman scurry off mad at each other, but as we enter Act 2, we get to see the Zeddy and their plan to kill Sonic. This old fossil of a man named Master Zik walks over saying he will get Sonic. The others urge him not to, but he insists and leaves to go take care of him. We are thrown into this level, and this level holds another gimmick. To traverse through the planets, you're supposed to move these giant fruits into a blender, which, you know, isn't the most creative ideas, but Mario Sunshine did it first. I mean, yeah. Let's just be honest. I don't understand why the game is stealing so much from the Mario games, yet it's on Nintendo consoles. How did Nintendo let this slide, bro? Anyway, you traverse the whole level like this. It gets harder and harder. Like on the third island, you lead these watermelons to break these pillars before you can actually put the melons into the blender. The two types of planets you'll find are really long and narrow ones, or just traditional planets that you can walk all over. It keeps switching between the two until you finally get a new Wisp power, which we are calling Gibbleton. It's simply just a rocket power that lets you go to the boss arena. And it's alright for what it is. Now, the boss fight is here. I cannot wait. So, it begins with Master Zik chasing you on an apple, and you have to lead him towards the blender, and you both get sent to another planet. He is vulnerable, so you just homing attack him. Rinse and... wait, what? That's it? Yeah, I'm not joking. You hit him once and he dies. How have the bosses just gotten worse? They've not only gotten easier, but they lack the amount of fun needed for you to actually be interested. You really just need to play this one on autopilot because it's so mind-numbingly easy. I'm sick of tired of these bosses so far. I hope and pray that they get harder and more creative, because this is just a prank at this point. I can't express to you how disappointing the boss fights have been so far. Like normal, the Act 3 level is completely different, this time opting for an underwater level type. Instead of letting us actually traverse underwater though, you have to grind rail. But before that, we finally learn what the Zeddy are planning, after Master Zik talks about how tough you were to defeat. Zavik then reveals why they should use Eggman's Siphon Machine to steal all the world's power and make themselves unstoppable. It will be his own invention that causes his downfall, said Zavik. Back to the level though. You spend most of the level just switching the rail you're on and dodging the easy obstacles, like fans in motion, and there's these machines that you touch a yellow switch to let you pass, unless they don't open. If you're paying attention though, you can pass easily. Now, how do I think about this level? This has to be the most lost potential in the game. No pun intended with the lost. Explain to me why the devs thought we would enjoy sitting on a grind rail for the entire level. This is literally Sonic Forces before Sonic Forces. I just don't get why they think this would be fun. It's not. It's a fucking dumb idea, that's all it is. They had so much potential for a good level. The opening area where you see all this stuff around you looks interesting. But instead, it's a watered down level where you can just switch grind rails and that's it. It's a crime to make such an awful level. I feel no remorse in saying that this is the worst level in the game yet. At least with the 2D only levels, you're able to do things yourself, but in this, you just jump and switch lanes. It's like a shitty version of driving. The only redeeming quality of this level is the music, because it's actually genuinely good. It sounds very tropical and catchy, but they decided to put it on the worst level in the world. The last 2 levels have been good. How did they fumble so hard? This game is so inconsistent with its levels. You can be playing absolute peak for a level, and then the level later you're wishing the worst on people because of how bad the level is in terms of gameplay, engagement, fun, mechanics, and the whole shebang. I certainly don't understand how this is rated as one of my favourite levels back in my original video. Literally must have been seeing something else I cannot see now, because it actually like brings tears to my eyes how arse this level is. We are literally talking about Sega here. They used to be compared to Nintendo in terms of quality, but it seems to have really dropped the ball in terms of gameplay and design of levels. The fact that they thought this was a passable level just shows how dumb and stupid they are. This is seriously a problem. It goes beyond just the people who play it. If you are watching this, don't play the level. It'll curse you for all eternity. I'll be so for real. I don't think it's a hot take to say this is on par with what Genghis Khan did. And now we reach another guest appearance. This time we will choose, how about Tobingle? Yeah, come on down, talk about Tropical Coast Act 4.
Hello. Thanks to WmCheese, I get to express how I feel about this game. And what I've heard in his body language, he's not the biggest fan anymore. But moving on to Act 3 ends with a cutscene showing the effect on the siphon ray from Knuckles and Amy's point of view. The whole world turns cold and dead as more energy goes in the machine. They make apparent to Sonic, who's going to find out what's happening. We enter Act 4 with another cutscene showing off Master Zik waiting for Sonic and tells him to follow. We are thrown into an Act 2-like section with piles of enemies, and for you to continue you have to kill them all and you get given a wisp to fly out of there. You use stuff like the giant fruit to defeat these enemies, as well as until eventually you get to the 2D section where you can start to hear taunts from the old hag. You're mainly avoiding these fish that keep trying to eat you as you run on their heads. It's really creative how they use it, like being on the roof of a cave and these fish try to jump up and eat you while you dodge. They use this very nice and I'm a big fan. This section is pretty solid as it lets you explore to your liking, but if it was 3D, it would have been better. There'll be kind of everything, I guess. Eventually you reach him and he's messing around this time. He's using berries as a barricade so you can't homie attack him, but after you almost get through, he flees. You have to chase him with the Gibbleton power and he rekindles his shield. You are unable to attack him. He's playing very tactically until he gets impatient and starts shooting these blue orbs when you can just easily homie attack him. Now let me say, this fight is still pretty boring, but at least it's aware the homie attacks are OP, so it makes a shield for it. But you don't even need to hit the berries, you just have to wait long enough for him to get impatient and try to charge. And also, why does he take 1 hit? Yes, I know he's old, but why would they do that? It just makes it easier for him to be killed when you're later in the game, and you're supposed to get harder bosses, not easier. This may be a step in the right direction, but it's not enough to warrant saying this is a good boss fight. As for the level itself, it's pretty mid. It lacks a lot of 3D, because it really only lasts for about 40 seconds, and the rest of the level is 2D side-scrolling, which isn't bad, but it's like a lazy way to do it. We're supposed to be playing a first-party game made by a huge company that used to own the market in Chokehold, but it's just so obnoxiously boring and plain. If you really want to stand out as a game, you have to make it engaging and fun, not just a boring side-scroller into a fight where you just wait. After such a bad level, we get to see Sonic and Eggman decide to team up due to them having a mutual enemy, even though Sonic literally has tails. He thinks he needs Eggman for his smarts, which is such a plot hole, but never mind, we'll just gloss over that for now. WmCheese's original opinion on this world was that it was a better version of World 1, which would be true except for the horrible Act 3 and 4 in this world. I'll let Sheen say the rest.
Thank you, Tobingle. Now, I can see how horrible the last 2 acts of the world were. It's a shame the first 2 are actually good. I thought this world would be different. But alas, I was completely wrong. So far the game isn't even that great. The bosses are painfully simple, the levels are inconsistent, and the mechanics haven't been well used. This world, however, gets a 5 out of 10 due to the first 2 of the 4 levels being good. So, like 50%, 5 out of 10. I hope that the game gets better. On to Frozen Factory. Act 1 of Frozen Factory throws us into an area reminiscent of Windy Hill, the only difference is being the snowy look and the ice physics on the ground. But this level here is to show what the world has to give, and it makes its fine use of its time, showcasing the ice ground, which surprisingly makes makes Sonic have progressive speed again. Who knew all it took was an ice world to have Sonic do something normal? Like I said before, this level looks like Windy Hill. Looks like a Windy Hill copy, which isn't the best of starts. The worlds before this have completely reinvented themselves to look different and play different, but so far this one just has ice mechanics. And it reminds me more of a winter theme level in Windy Hill, which is interesting in concept. Another new feature is that instead of traveling via springs in the world, you instead travel through pipeline systems, which are interesting in concept, yet you kind of just walk up to them and they do the rest themselves. It feels more automated, which can be good if done right. Although the sense of exploration from Tropical Coast is still here, the paths to take in between the pipe systems are easy to find. Like at one point, you can pick up a Wisp Power, you can pick up another Wisp Power, yet you don't actually have to use it. You can get past just by going around. It's good that they kept this because it adds some more challenge. The higher, more skilled path is for those who only understand the mechanics of the game. I can clearly see this level is more thought out by the team, and ignoring the actual design of the world is a good start in the right direction. I'm quite excited to see if it gets any better. Though I'm not a huge fan of how much wall running is here, and have them do that stupid fucking corner trick that doesn't want to budge, still fine I guess. Anyways, after beating the level, we are treated to a cutscene showing off Sonic, Tails, and Eggman assessing the situation and what to do. Tails begins to be passive-aggressive with Eggman due to it seeming like Sonic doesn't trust him to shut off Eggman's machine. Because, you know, he literally just doesn't. You don't need Eggman if you have Tails Sonic, but Sonic doubles down and some tension arises. Moving on to Act 2. We begin Act 2 with a cutscene revealing who we are against next. It's Xena, and she is shown to have a big ego about her looks. Starting the level, we are put inside a snowball for it. You have to move carefully because one wrong move and you fall. They even made platforms decently narrow, so there's some challenge for once, which is a great step in the right direction. Throughout you traveling, you'll come across a new enemy that tries to knock you off if you hit them. They're exclusive to these kinds of levels because what else would they do in a normal level? When we start the boss, you'd assume you'd get out of the ball, but no, the boss fight is actually done while you're in the snowball, which is a good change from the other boring boss fights. She makes a couple of snowmen and you have to knock them over kind of like bowling, and this is done with a spin dash inside the snowball. Once she is found, you run into her with another spin dash and you've officially hit her. She begins to do it again, but every time she adds more and more snowmen, even having bombs in some of them, and you are on a strict time limit of when you can hit her, so you need to be fast. This is the first time I think most people won't finish it flawlessly without a mistake, because it's actually genuinely hard to do. There's such a small window of time when she's vulnerable to hit her that adds to the challenge. And to be honest, I'm a big fan. I was sick and tired of these stupid easy bosses. They were all just wait until you can homing attack, but this one you have to initiate the fight, which is way better in my opinion. And I just simply love the way this fight is. I know I've been pretty negative from these levels, but from the bottom of my heart, I mean this time. This is the best boss in the game so far, no doubt. It plays like an actual boss and it has some challenge to it. All in all, I really enjoyed this level's gimmick and boss fight. Act 3 again changes up the scenery with a casino level. I'm not sure the connection between this and the snow, but in Act 2 there was some like pool-like sections, so yeah. But I mean, just look at it. Windy Hill Act 3 is the caves but no Windy Hill. Desert Zone is a typo for desert, but this casino idea maybe just flew over my head, but I'm not sure. Anyways, the level starts pretty overwhelming. There's lots of things happening at once and it's quite distracting. There's a new enemy that's able to deflect you with a spring hand, which kind of just makes him a mild annoyance since you can't hit him with his mighty spring. Now, I'm not going to drag this out completely. The level just switches between these two segments. You go forward dodging attacks and the occasional pinball section to gain rings, because there's nothing else of value in this game. It's quite a letdown of a level. It seems more like a mini game than a level, and it's so unbelievably long and boring. It's so long, it's like longer than a Lord of the Rings film. The shit is so arse, I might just cry. The presentation of the level isn't so great either. It's a boring casino with nothing that interesting. Oh wow, you get to use poker chips as platforms. I've never seen that before. But seriously, I feel as though this is one of the weakest levels in the game. The lack of engaging The lack of an engaging gimmick or level design is really noticeable. I've really never noticed how much of a core mechanic it was. The absence of these just makes the level bland and extremely forgettable. But the problem is, it's not a bad level, it's just boring, and it's so uninteresting, which makes it come down massively. Another guest star to help us cover the Act 4 of this world, and I think the perfect candidate for this one is WmCheese. Seems like he knows a lot about the snow.
Hello. Meet me, the real me. I'm Resco. I'm the weird one who likes music a lot. And I'm the one who said, "Where's Goonsheen?" in the last epic Mickey video of Wet Sheen. Wow. At the start of this frozen factory, Sonic meets up with Xena. She complains about teenage girl stuff, which is pretty egg. Then Sonic insults her by saying that she's so freaking boring. Which, fair enough, she is. So she scurries off with Sonic close behind. The level starts in a 2D, so it's pretty tame. And you're just making your way down searching for Xena. And you start hearing her fucking flaming ass for her clothes. Anyway, but she's a girl, so all she cares about is clothes and nails. So, after a exceedingly long opening, we're thrown into some high-stakes ice skating. Pretty fun, you know, because ice skating, you skate and it's ice, and like, you're in a frozen factory, so like, no way, or snow way, oh my god, it's connecting. Anyways, you have to keep moving left and right to keep on the icy ground and not fall to your death, because if you fall, you're dead. No way. It's pretty fast and engaging for such a small area. You need to be smarter than a toddler to actually do this, because you do gain some speed. Like, a lot. Oh my god. We enter a small machinery full of these annoying ice blocks that you have to smash. It's just filler. There's more, but it's just filler. It's just to break up the level more. How bloody boring is that? Anyway, we return to ice skating, but in 3D, so that's pretty cool. You know, one more dimension. Yeah, I swear it's cool. Guys, please play Sonic Lost Worlds. It's such a great game, I swear. They use a lot more spike obstacles, and the logical way to get through them is to go slowly. So you keep going until you reach this section, which is quite reminiscent of the Metropolis Zone in Sonic 2. Mainly borrowing the vertical nut gimmick from that zone. To further move on, you have to run on these nuts to push them high on this giant screw. It's used in other Sonic games, so it's not really a surprise, and it's more filler. How unfortunate. But you do get some Sonic rings. Sonic rings, oh my god. We're sent back to another 2D section, and after that long trek to find Xena, we do find her. So we're gonna kill her. So she grabs this ball and starts swinging it around just like a maniac. This makes her invulnerable to homing attacks. So we have to survive for the time being. She eventually gets tired, and then you have an opening. She sends out 2 beams of lasers covering the circumference of the planet that we are on, but leaves her open to an attack, and took 2 hits. 2 blimey hits. Bosses in this game, it's just so bad and boring. It also doesn't help that Xena is just a stereotype teenage girl who's way too cool for us and shit. Corny. I don't really understand why they make a character like this in the first place. It's a Sonic game. I guess it fills the inclusion quota. I mean, it's not good of a joke that she doesn't care, right? We already have Zoom, the lard to fill the spot. I just don't enjoy the fact that 1, that this boss just sucks in a way that it's too short and easy, and 2, Xena is just a stereotypical teenage girl, so she's just annoying to watch and unironically just hating on her because of the way she is. And yes, I know the amount of hate towards her is petty, but do I fucking care? If Zumon can be hated, then so can she. Now, this should be it for me. You know, I said my words, I said my line, I dissed Xena, I talked about boss fights, I talked about the levels. Sheen's been missing something. Something that I won't let him pass. It's music. He's been lacking music. He doesn't talk about a single thing. This dude plays drums and he doesn't care. Oh my god. Anyway, so I'm going to be talking about the Sonic Lost World soundtrack. And just for the Frozen Factory though, because I don't care. Urgh. Sonic Lost World mostly uses orchestral as like their music band. It's pretty egg. But in some songs it uses electric guitar and electric bass, like the Deadly Six theme, which is an amazing song you should totally listen to, unless if you're weird. I will kill you. Not. In Zone 1, in Frozen Factory, it's like a Christmas song. It's a common theme because snow, Christmas, you know. It uses sleigh bells in the intro and then uses synth as the melody. It also has xylophone, e-piano, and e-drums. The e-drums are very dull though. It's just a simple rhythm and then it changes once and then goes back again. It's kind of boring. In Zone 2, the synth still does the melody, but the sleigh bells actually are used to keep the tempo. The saxophones and trumpets are used as harmony, and the acoustic piano and pluck strings in the background. The electronic drums just play the exact same thing. It's not even like Zone 1, so it's more boring. Respect your drummers. For dear God's sake. They do so much, yet they're still useless. Zone 3 takes a turn by playing jazz. It uses a jazz band instead of an orchestral band, which matches its showbiz gambling center, the place where you're playing at, also known as Pokies. We love gambling. This time, Sonic Sound Team decided to use real instruments instead of electric instruments, which is amazing, because you can't fake instruments. They sound fake, and it sounds horrible. Some of the time. There are some songs where synths actually are good. You can't deny that. I can't deny that. But play real instruments. Learn actual instruments. Don't just use a keyboard. It has instrument sections, like the saxophone section and the brass section, you know, having their respective instruments. And real drums, actually playing with the song's melody, you know, and not, you know, loops. And it also uses fills, which actually sound really cool. There is double bass, just walking up and down with the band. It's pretty awesome. I actually like jazz. You might know me for weird punk music and metal, but jazz is amazing. Zone 4. Zone 4. Its music is the exact same as Zone 1. There's no difference. But during the boss fight, it plays normal boss music, but it's the same generic boss music, so it's boring. Why did you? Sorry, I got a wee bit mad. Thank you for wasting your time with the music. I hope you enjoyed, and let's go to the next world. Whoa, whoa, whoa.
Thanks, WmCheese. Personally, I can see this world not standing too far from the others. It began pretty good, but then, just like last time, Act 3 and 4 just kill the world because of how bland they are. I will say that the ice skating part leading up to the boss in Act 4 was actually pretty fun to play, so it gives me a couple more points. The actual boss was very underwhelming compared to the Act 2 boss, so for all the right reasons, I actually give this world a 6 out of 10. Because again, the first two were strong, making it a 5, and the small section of Act 4 bumps it up to a 6. On to Silent Forest! We end off Act 4 with Eggman suggesting mass genocide, and Tails tries to fix the yellow bot but instead creates danger. Luckily, Eggman was ready and saved Tails. Sonic easily took care of the bot afterwards and snapped at Tails further, chipping away at his trust in Tails. Tails urges that he was just trying to help, but I'm more focused on how Tails was taunting Eggman than literally almost eats shit, and the one to save him is Eggman. Anyway, we start the level being refreshed, no more snow and a whole lot more trees. This world introduces mud that damages you if you step in it, so you have to traverse using grind rails and these plants that open up to become platforms. They are pretty common in this level, however be careful when you jump because there's these crocodiles that will jump out of the mud and bite you. They do this every 3 seconds, so act fast. All in all, gameplay of this level is decently solid. There's nothing that impressed me yet though, so I'll still give it some points. It shows that it can be capable without a big gimmick or anything. And that's what I like about it. It's a break from the big level from Frozen Factory Zone 4. It really feels like you moved into a new world. The mod is also an okay idea and concept, but it's not that great in execution. It is really easy to dodge, and when you touch it, it doesn't even kill you. You can literally spin dash on it and you'll be fine. I just feel like they should have made it more of a danger to the player. Also, after beating this level, we get the most devastating cutscene we've ever seen. It starts simple, with Sonic, Eggman and Tails observing a capsule. Tails seems to be scanning it because he reckons it's a bit suspicious how this one was just by itself in the forest. But before Tails can finish, Sonic tries to jump on the capsule. But right as he's midair, Tails sees it's a trap and jumps into Sonic, stopping him from hitting it. But in turn, he gets knocked back into its radius and it traps him and swiftly teleports away. Eggman urges Tails for the greater good and not to make a sacrifice for nothing. Sonic and then has an existential crisis about how fast he actually is, due to him not being fast enough to save Tails. Which is really sad. I'm not crying, you are. But seriously, this is a great cutscene. I love the silence in the scene when it happens and Sonic has realized what he's done. One of the greatest scenes in this game in my humble opinion. But is Tails okay? Act 2 begins with a cutscene between Sonic and our newest assassin, Zor. He's just sad all the time, that's his thing. When he notices they didn't capture Sonic, he goes back to tell the others, and we are left to just find out what to do next. We have now transitioned to nighttime, and the level's a 2D side-scroller. We are moving through a temple-like structure, and we can hear Zor in the background as we try to search for him. But you should be more focused on the platforming and parkour. The only real enemy you find here are the pigs made out of steel or gold. The steel ones will be thrown at you and break the weaker stones you platform on, while the gold ones shoot bombs at you and get in the way. We don't get to see a lot of creativity in this level, however. I spent the whole level basically just playing on autopilot because it really doesn't do enough for me to pay attention. But we get used to the new wisp power after ages. This one we are calling Ringer because, you know, ring and it's a music wisp. Though the weird part is there's literally zero sound when you use this wisp other than the ring collecting sound. The others seem to have their own themes, but this one, and it makes sense to have it, but it doesn't. It's just a nitpick, but it's not really that important. Moving on though, there's suddenly just a gimmick where there's this owl acting as night surveillance. And to avoid being caught, you have to hide behind the bushes, and for some reason the wisp power makes you immune to it. The person actually trying to find you is of course Zor, who else but this guy. And once you meet up with him, you start the boss fight. He starts by shooting a revolving ball at you, and your objective is to homing attack him back at it, and he falls over. Once he falls over, you just homing attack again, and you beat. Wait, what? It's still going. Anyway, let's just hit him again. Wait, he deflected it? No way. That was a good. Wait, he got back up again. He's actually doing it. He's being a normal boss. This is the greatest day of my life ever.
Yes! Yes! Yeah!
I never thought I'd see the day. I got to see this game have a good boss fight. It genuinely brings a tear to my eye how peak this boss was. Of course, my original vids ended here because I was not ready for how good this boss was. It has everything. A way to lose. A way to use his own things against him. You don't just have to wait to hit him. He has more than 1 or 2 phases. And this is easily the best boss in the game so far. There's nothing that competes with it. I lost all hope for them at this point, but they came back and surprised me. I just can't wait for the Act 4 boss. It's gonna be great. Act 3 seems to just be a carbon copy of Windy Hill Act 3. So I just want to say how genuinely awful this fucking level is. They can't seriously think this passes as its own level. It's literally just a carbon copy of another one. It's just ice themed. Like I said before, the Frozen Factory Act 1 stage was scarily similar to Windy Hill. But what did they go and do? They made a copy of a level. I wasn't expecting the developer to stupidly slow in terms of laziness. The video sure has said a lot, but this is inexcusable. Just when I thought this game was growing on me again, they go and do this shit. Sonic Lost World is like that abusive ex you have. You go back to them thinking you'll be different, but they never change. Once a disappointment, always a disappointment. I sit here pondering if I even want to finish this video due to this tragedy. This game is a lot of things, but one of those things is most definitely not creative. I expected more of you, Sonic the Hedgehog. You're supposed to be the underdog, now you resort to such methods. It's sad how a promising franchise has fallen to such a dump. I'm now leaning towards more Sonic Lost World being a bad game rather than a good one. They really need to step it up if they want me to change my mind. Now that we've gotten that out the way, we get to hear from another one of our guest stars, which I'm sure most of the fan base loves. He's been here since the beginning, my partner in crime, Deza! Take it away, man.
Thank you, Sheen. It's about time we gave the people what they wanted. Sheen used to talk all the time about Sonic, so I feel like it's come full circle. Silent Forest Act 4 begins with Zor spying on us planning to destroy Sonic. The level is entirely in 2D, which isn't ideal, but let's give it a chance before anything. It starts off pretty tame, just dodging normal enemies and spike balls through a temple. Eventually, we meet up with our old friend, Digatron, the Wisp, for another dig challenge, hitting purple orbs in these giant dirt pockets. While every time you cross another, it gets harder to hit them as it spins faster and obstacles stand in the way. Also, you have a timer on your ability, so you have to act quickly if you want to keep up. After doing that a couple times, we reach a new room with a new gimmick. In this room, the lights are off until you see these switches. Then the lights are on for a few seconds for you to keep going. When the lights are off, you can only see these silhouettes of yourself and enemies. It becomes an interesting way to play, where you are playing almost blind, like Helen Keller. If you know what you're doing though, and be careful, it's decently easy to get through, but then the moment we've been waiting for, the boss fight. Zor looks tough in the beginning with his shadow clones by his side. All you do is homing attack him twice and he falls. It looked cool, I guess. You can even see his broken owl from Act 2 in the background. It's a pretty neat detail that they added. I just don't understand why they gave him shadow clones if you aren't going to do anything with it. It leaves quite a lot to be desired. When you actually get to him, it looks like it's going to be a great fight, but it lasts 2 seconds if you aren't bad. They really need to start stepping up the quality of the game. I mean, hell, we're almost at the end. Only 2 more worlds to go, and they need to finish strongly. Cheers, Wet Sheen, for the invite. Sup to Deza.
Cheers, Dez. But moving on, Silent Forest was not the best of worlds. Like Deza said, it left a lot to be desired in terms of gimmicks and engagement. I wouldn't see myself remembering this game for Silent Forest, and that's why I'm giving it a cool and normal inoffensive 3 out of 10. It was just meh. It was a pretty mid-world. I'm not too big of a fan of it, to be honest. We are thrown straight into Sky Road with no context on what the Zeddy are doing. I guess we'll come back to that thought later on though. Sky Road begins just like any other world, showing off what it has to offer for this one. I can only explain it in one word. Meh? I mean, this just looks like a harder version of Windy Hill. What's with all these places stealing from Windy Hill? It's like the Messiah or something. It's that one friend that lets you copy their homework, I guess. But like, really, what is the point in making this world? It's so far. Just looks like a hard version of Windy Hill 1. What do you want me to say? Oh, I love this world because of the bold choice to keep it looking the same. Fuck no, bro. I'm here for the definitive ranking of this game. And I have to say, this has so far been the worst first act. It doesn't show off anything that would hook me on playing. I'm playing for the story at this point, not for the gameplay. I severely didn't realize how bland this world is. It's lacking everything to make a fun level, and better yet, lacking everything to be a new world. That's like saying you have 2 flavors of soda, saying you have Fanta and then you have Sunkist. Like, what do you want me to do about that? One's the same thing, it's just done worse. I simply don't understand why they think it's a good idea to just do the bare minimum. At this point, they have another company, just have another company help you. Oh wait, they already did. The world here is just as filler. I don't want to bother with this one, but I have to make the definitive ranking of Sonic Lost World. Also, side note, this level is strikingly long. Like, over 5 minutes of you just traversing the worst level so far. It's so slow and dragged out. Heck, I'd even rather that stupid grind rail level from World 3. Just anything to get me out of this limbo. Okay, surely it can't get much worse than Act 1. My bar has been lowered all the way to the ground at this stage. We start with a cutscene between Sonic and the leader of the Zeddy, Zavik. He decided his friends weren't good enough, so he's going to kill Sonic himself. And it's revealed to us what happened to Tails, which unfortunately they plan to... Sorry. Just give me a second. They plan to make him into a robot slave for them. I'm sorry. This is hard. Tails was so innocent and smart. He doesn't deserve this. Sonic is our last hope. In any case, the level looks like a different world. Good job, I guess. I still need to see more though than this one change. It doesn't fix everything. As we climb up the Sky Road, Zavik keeps sending these stupid snakes after us, breaking the platforms below, really making it tough to make it out alive. And finally, we face Zavik for the first time. He summons that same snake to attack us. But to conquer it, you must follow its tail. And you can stun it for a while leaving Zavik open to attacks. And once you attack him, you are just somehow able to cheese it and trigger the stun again before the snake leaves. So you just get an easy win. But what was I expecting at this point? The devs wouldn't know what a good boss fight was if they slapped him in the face. All in all, this level was fine, I guess. Not really much to be happy about. The boss just sucks and the whole level's in 2D. But I guess they at least made the world have more of a theme. It's gonna be tough to get any worse than this. Act 3, like, no, okay, fucking, never mind, the level's just normal. What do you fucking do? I love Skyro. I love how it just doesn't have a theme. I love how it just does whatever it wants. Okay, but starting the level, we get shot into a cannon, and now we're just floating, because fucking why not? The game does anything it wants at this point. I don't care anymore. Are you serious, though? It's literally called Sky Road, and there was no road. 0 out of 10 game. I don't think I'm ever gonna like this game ever again. I don't think it's so hard to just make a level at least mid. But Sonic devs just can't do it. You spend the whole time just floating and dodging because they're so lazy they didn't even add other enemies. You just dodge, you're just doing the same thing. Fucking hell, I hate this game. I hate it. Thank fuck we have someone else to talk about Act 4. Because I might have just went insane if I had to talk about Skyroad for any longer. Please welcome Dry Drew to the stage. I need a chill pill.
Wow, a wet Sheen video. I never thought I'd make it. Let's continue where we left off in this world. Act 4 has to carry hard because from what I've heard, Skyroad has been awful so far, so let's hope for a miracle. We begin by seeing how drained the world has become. Even Sonic losing contact with Amy and Knuckles, while Zavik watches amusingly and taunts Sonic before fleeing. The fact you can see that Sonic didn't say anything to Zavik like he normally would shows just how mad he truly is in this moment. We can see Sky Road is now dark and gloomy, and we have to climb up this temple to find Zavik. However, there are ghosts crawling all over the place to attack you, so you need to weave them like training cones to get past. After climbing to the top, we make it to some kind of slide section. It reminds me a lot of Minion Rush, when they go on the slides, if you know that game. Though in this game, we're dodging spike balls, and there's many gaps leading you to weave through the pathway. We make it to these bars so you can stop and take a breather to line up your shot to continue the slide. Afterwards, we get sent back down, the temple falling down sand slides. As you hear the place crumbling, after returning to the slide now from a front view of Sonic showing us behind, we see Zavok is beginning to send cacti to crush us on the slide, having you dodge them and even switch slides via the bar from before. It's starting to raise the stakes that Zavok can just spawn things out of nowhere. We keep doing this switch between the slide and the temple, then eventually leading to the very top of Sky Road we meet Zavok on his snake, and he begins to block your homing attacks. Though after one he folds and you can hit him. He progressively blocks more hits and even shoots lasers down on you, but you can hit him into them so it backfires. And just like that, you have beaten Zavok in Sky Road. What a world. I'm sure Sheen will be satisfied with that world and the final act.
I really have to keep going. Skyrim sucks so bad, I hate it so much, it's so dull, the comics all was, it's so fun, it's so bad, I hate it. I give it a 1 out of 10 for that boss because it's so literally the bare minimum of what the bosses should be. We enter Act 1 knowing with the attitude of poor Tails. But it seems that planning something because he isn't scared at all. Gosh, I hope he's okay. Tails, no! Moving on, we get to see how Eggman and Sonic are doing after a noble sacrifice, ending up with Sonic being completely alone. We see this act as a boss rush featuring Zaz, Master Zik, and Zomom. Zaz is up first, and they have been insisted to be stronger, but I'm sure he doesn't show it at all with that same fucking charge attack from World 1. You just have to wait for him to stop shooting, and then he starts charging, and you just hit him. Next up is Fat Lard, Fat Idiot, Fat Fuck. I hate this fucking fucking fat. He just digs into the ground like normal and starts chasing you. But you just have to keep him going until he pops out because he's tired. And it's the perfect time to hit him, and he finally says something right. Oh god, I'm a failure! And last but not least is Master Zik. It's a bit harder with him because he makes the terrain mostly lava, so it's quite a narrow area to fight. He shoots this stupid blue orb, but as long as you have a ring, you can just charge him and win. This level's pretty shit because Zomom's in it. That's about it, really. That's it. It has the same music, the same assets, the same everything. It's just harder and has purple water. What the fuck do you want me to say? I can't write a fucking long essay about every level, can I? Well, actually, there is something that makes this level slightly better. Just a little bit. During this version of the level, there's a few segments where you actually platform on the grind rails, which makes it a bit more engaging and interesting. So that's a plus. We end the act with the game just showing us how lone Sonic is. Now, truly is our last hope. But since he's Sonic, we're probably all just gonna die. It starts with Sonic being the remaining member of meeting the remaining members of the Deadly Six, and they're showing off. Wait, no, is that Tails? No, his plan didn't work. No, he's just serving for them now. He's a robot. We lost a real one today, guys. This is truly tragic. Sonic may as well just let Tails finish him off. Yo! Yes! Our goat is still alive! I love you, Tails! How about children? But Sonic speeds off to chase the Zeddy. This level plays more like 3 mini-bosses. You go through the open air until you reach a castle, where you climb up to the top where each one is ready to fight. You begin with Xena, where she suddenly doesn't seem to care about her nails anymore, and you just homing attack like always. Next we go after Zor, and he doesn't really have a fight. He kind of just shoots you as you try and go to the top, and you flush him down the drain. And finally, we have Zavik, whose tower is especially hard to climb, and when you reach him, you homing attack him twice, and assume he's done, but no. He becomes giant and begins to climb up with his bare hands. You are to ground pound blocks on his head until you get to then the top where he drowns in the lava. Yes, we beat the Zeddy. What a thrilling conclusion to that ending. The first boss rush was awful in my opinion, but having you climb 3 different towers, defeat them one by one, well, that's pretty good. And all that's left is the final level. I don't have another guest star to do this one, so I'm just going to combine all 7 of us to explain the level. It begins by revealing Eggman is not dead and he actually betrayed us. He's built a massive robot to kill us and we are thrown right in.
Oh fuck. Oh, this is it. Oh.
The final level.
He throws many diverse attacks using these fists he has.
Like shooting lasers across the path for you to jump over.
And after dodging, you can start to homing attack him until he's dead.
Rinse and repeat this process.
And
Finally,
you've won. Sonic Lost World sure was a game. I would just like to say how fucking awful it is. It's inconsistent, the levels suck, it's boring, I'm a faker. I only played this game for 90 minutes. I fucking hate this game. Thank you all for watching the video. I really appreciate the support. And I finally finished what I started, so I think that deserves a sub, no? But special thanks to my friends for agreeing to be guests on this video. Check them out or guys them in the comments. See ya. Man, this one was different. This wasn't just another video. This was something bigger. It wasn't about going viral. It wasn't about chasing views. It was about doing something real. Something raw. With my friends. From the jump, the whole project was built off one thing. Passion. We didn't have $1 million budget. We didn't have a production team. What we did have though, was ideas. Wild ones. And we had a crew of friends who threw in everything they had. Not to impress anyone, but because we wanted to. Because it felt right. Because it meant something. There were late nights. There were retakes. And there were moments where we asked, why are we pushing something so hard and it might only get a couple views? But that's the thing. It was never about the fame. We didn't make this to blow up. We made it because we love it. We love creating. We love building something out of nothing. And doing it with friends, that's priceless. That's the part no one can copy. I'm proud of what we made. Not because it's perfect, no, far from it. But because it's ours. Every second of that video. Sweat, laughter, chaos, heart. If you have that same itch to create, that same fire to build something just because it burns inside you, do it. Don't wait for permission. Don't wait for the spotlight. Just grab your people, grab your gear, and make it happen. Because at the end of the day, the real win isn't in the numbers. It's in the moments, the memories, and the masterpiece you made, just for the love of it. Who am I? I'm WmCheese, and I always will be.